When you get a good physique and you start to get around women, you need to start chill maxing, genuinely chill maxing. And you might ask, what the fuck do you mean by that, Zaki? I've just done all this hard work and got into incredible shape. Why do I need to chill? Well, what you don't want to be seen as is the guy whose entire personality revolves around fitness, revolves around macro tracking, revolves around meal prep, revolves around his morning routine and this hyper autistic way of living. Because to an extent, it can be seen as obsessive. And when something is seen as obsessive in terms of fitness and gym, it's just seen as fucking boring. No girl wants to hang out with a guy who says, oh, let's go on a date. He's like, oh, I can't eat there. I need to bring my meal prep. You're not seen as fun. You're not seen as interesting. Your entire life revolves around this one thing that, yes, you might be attracted to. You know, most girls are attracted to a lean aesthetic physique, and that is the reason why you even started going to the gym in the first place. Let's be honest, 99% of men go to the gym to look attractive for women. But if it becomes your entire personality, then you have severely fucked up. Now, I'm not here to tell you yet how to speak to women and say, you know, run different game and whatever, but I'm more focused on the physique side of things. But if your entire personality revolves around fitness, a girl will see that as uninteresting, as boring, as not fun, and she will not she's not going to want to hang out with you because you're just seen as boring. Now, of course, getting into good shape and, you know, having the V-taper physique with the abs and, you know, big arms and bicep veins, these things require dedication. These things require preparation. It is difficult. It is not an easy process. If it was easy, everyone would be able to do it. But the key thing that you need to understand is it needs to be pulled off around women with a level of nonchalance. Like I'm not so serious. If she asks you, oh, do you go to the gym then? Who's gym? I don't know who gym is. What the fuck is gym? It should be pulled off as if you've just spawned with this amount of muscle and this lean physique. She wants to know that, you know, you've achieved that physique by fucking accident. She doesn't want to know that you're waking up at 4 a.m. and training for 2 hours and eating this many calories and this many macros and this micronutrients and preparing your food in this sort of way with no oil. She doesn't care about any of that stuff. She literally wants to think that your physique came from chopping wood or fighting dragons or some weird shit. She just want to know that you've just been superly, hyper autistically tracking your calories, because it's just seen as not so cool. Like, I'll tell you guys a little story. I was out with some friends a couple of days ago watching the England game at a pub. And a guy came up to me when I was with some girls and he said, oh, mate, you're in insane shape. What do you do to get in shape? You got to tell me. And I basically just brushed him off because I'm not going to sit there giving this guy advice about how I, you know, hit 10 to 20,000 steps every single day. I autistically track my macros and abstain from eating certain foods and basically go weeks or months without any real sense of a social life. And, you know, how I'm progressively overloading my lifts and this many sets per session. I could have gone into all those details in front of the girls, but they would have instantly been turned off. So what I said to the guys is, I mean, I just train a couple of days a week and, you know, I've been training for 8 years, consistency. I just brushed it off. Now, that guy did come round and say to me, oh, sorry for approaching. I was like, look, mate, yeah, I wasn't going to go into dive into the details. He completely understood because he was also a guy in good shape. Obviously not in the shape I was in, hence why he came over to me. But, I'm just joking. But, yeah, when he actually came over to me separate to being with the girls, I had a 15-minute conversation with him and I went into all the autistic details and gave him all the information and we connected. I got his social media and he kept in touch. And he even messaged me and said, mate, really appreciate giving me the time. That's fine. If someone genuinely asks you for advice, cool, talk about it. Don't talk about it in front of girls though, because it's weird. But there are some girls who are also autistic in the gym and like super obsessed with this stuff, and it can be an interesting conversation to have. Sure, go for it. It's fine. But it should not be the bane of your personality. It should not be what your world revolves around. It's completely fine to live like that. It's completely fine to have all of these quirks and interests in that sense in regards to fitness, but it shouldn't be expressed to other people who genuinely don't give a fuck. Genuinely, they just don't care. And again, 99% of the reason why guys are getting into shape and you're watching this video is because you want to attract more girls. Now, it's very important to be hitting the gym and getting to the peak physicality that you can. Lean, 10 to 12% body fat, all the rest of it, big muscles, right? Not too big, but decently big. It's important, but it shouldn't be expressed on a first date or in social settings with women. It's just stupid. It is the recipe for disaster. It's genuinely like, you know, the guy who has a nice watch and he enters a comment, have you seen my watch, by the way? Look, I've got a Rolex. No one cares. In fact, because you've brought attention to it, it now becomes unattractive. Or if a guy has a nice car, you want to see the car by accident. It's like going to a guy, oh, do you want me to pick you up in my Lamborghini? No, you just say, I'm going to pick you up. And then you pick her up and she goes, oh, you've got a Lamborghini. Yeah, I've got a Lamborghini. It has to be very casual. It has to be very unserious, because girls want to have fun. Girls want to be in a state of, you know, enjoyment. And macros, calories, micronutrients are all uninteresting topics. They're all boring. Don't be talking around that stuff, around girls, or even guys in general, or just social scenarios. That's the thing as well. You shouldn't be trying to mix work and pleasure, right? Work and play, whatever they say. You don't want to mix the two. Like, it's completely fine to be super dialed 99% of the time, but the reason why you even done this stuff in the first place, like I said, is to have an attraction built around you. But you need to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You need to be able to have fun and relax a little bit. Don't be like, oh no, I can't eat that food. It's not going to kill you. Everything needs to be done with a sense of casual. Everything. This doesn't just apply to fitness. It applies to life in general when it comes to, you know, dating, when it comes to social, when it comes to business. Do it with a sense of casual, effortlessness. That is what's truly attractive. When something is seen and achieved with effortlessness. When you look at some of the best footballers, when you look at, you know, some of the best athletes, like, how does he do it so clean? How is it so effortless? Yes, they can appreciate that it's a work of art and what they're doing is magnificent, but it is mostly perceived in its magnificence because it is so effortless for the person. When I go out, I'm not, unless I'm around certain people, I'm not super obsessively tracking stuff. Or maybe during the day I would have fasted to when I go out later I can enjoy a bit of pizza and a bit of food. It's completely fine. If I sit there and go, oh, I can't eat that in front of a group of people, they just be like, who's this fucking twat? Who does he think he is? And you do not want to create that perception of you in public. Again, it's fine. Be as dialed as you need to be to get to the physique. Once you are there, relax a little bit. Stay dialed in when you're in your own space, when you're, you know, working, when you're in your locked in zone, stay locked in. But when you're going out for social situations, enjoy the fruits of your labor. Fucking chill out. And you know what the funniest thing about all of this is that when I meet guys who are genuinely like 100% locked in and actually display the behaviors that I just discussed you shouldn't be doing, like, you know, oh, I have to eat within my protein window and I have to have my protein shake, and they're carrying around a bunch of protein powders and they're carrying around meal prep boxes. Meanwhile, I'm there having a drink, eating a fucking pizza, and they're in worse shape than me. That's the worst bit. Because doing all that high cortisol activity and doing all that stressful, oh, I have to have 400 calories now and 600 calories then, and then do this and then do that, you're just, not only is it just retarded and unattractive, but it doesn't even yield the results as much as you think it does. It's like those guys who, after the gym, have to eat carbohydrates and have to eat within their protein window. It's like you're in worse shape than me. What the fuck are you on about? It doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense, because you're doing all these extra steps, boosting your cortisol through the fucking ceiling for what? 2%? 1%? Sometimes you genuinely don't get anything from it and you're still doing it. It's just asinine. Now, I do want to clarify something. If you aren't in the position that I'm describing, where you have a good lean physique, you're in the right shape, you know what you need to be doing each day, and you are trying to get there, then fuck yeah, you need to be dialed. You need to fucking not socialize, because it doesn't even matter. If you're on a date with a girl, she's going, you're fat anyway, bruv. Like, pull out your protein meal, your 400 calorie protein meal. It doesn't matter. She doesn't like you anyway. You need to be dialed up until a point. You need to work, get the result, and then you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. But if you are in the process of trying to get in shape, yeah, stay dialed, be autistic with it. Once you get there, that is when you chill. Beginning in the video, I said, when you are lean and you start to get around girls, then you chill max. I didn't say, oh, you can chill max the entire period of trying to get to your lean physique, because you'll never get there. That is the main thing. And I'm gonna end this video just by saying that having a lean aesthetic physique genuinely is the most powerful thing when it comes to dating, when it comes to social life. Other things matter too, your general aesthetic, your personality, but most of the foundation should come from having a lean aesthetic physique. That moves the needle the most. So focus on that, then you can focus on the fashion, then you can focus on the grooming and the rest of it. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, drop me a subscribe or follow my Instagram, Zaki Thor. That is where I post a ton of value when it comes to building a lean, attractive physique, when it comes to body game, when it comes to dating in general. That is where it will be. Hope you enjoyed this video.